Thanks a lot for coming in.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Something about this community appeals to you?
This is a wonderful place to live.
For Kelowna Now, this is Camp Mulgat. And we're joined by Catherine Pineapples and Angie Lohr from Hope Okanagan. So we're here to talk about your journey. You have a sister who you love, like a sister would love a sister, and her life went into a difficult direction. Describe her life now, your sister.
Well, she doesn't live the life that I live every day. She has a daily struggle. She's here on the streets here in Kelowna.
She has shelter at the moment?
I believe so. She's in between.
In and out of shelter, on the street, drug addicted,
Yes.
involved in prostitution.
I believe so.
Yeah. You brought Angie along for some moral support. It's a tough thing, isn't it, Angie? I'm sure you've met other people who have family members who are living the street life, who want to help them.
And that's exactly how Catherine and I met. She reached out for help. We focus on the women who are exploited, homeless, and addicted on the streets of Kelowna. Our volunteers are out there 7 nights a week, just talking with them, just supporting them, just listening to their stories of what life used to be like and how they ended up there. And Catherine reached out, and we know her sister well, and we try and take care of her the best we can through our organization. But it's been sad to watch. It's sad to watch families from normal lifestyles, normal jobs. Her sister had a normal life and a really good one. And what makes someone take that change through usually something traumatic, and then the path just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and here we are, and what do we do?
So Catherine, what things have you tried to do? There's your sister. You want to help her. What sort of things have you gone through to try to get her out of this rut?
Well, over the years, it's started out with getting angry and trying to force the help. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes she would go into rehab facilities. That was never really anything local. It was something where we had to bring her to Vancouver Island. And eventually she would just be let out, and she would relapse, and the drugs would get worse and worse. And now, to get her anywhere near any of those facilities is a challenge.
So at this point, you reach out to her frequently, but not so much even to try to get her into help, just to keep contact.
Right.
How does that look? What do you do to try to at least keep a connection with your sister?
Well, I go out probably 5 times a week. Just at one point during the day. I don't let it take over my entire day anymore, but I drive around to the places where I know I can find her. And if I see her, I offer her some food, see if she needs some clothing, ask if she's okay, and ask if there's anything I can do for her. Sometimes she comes with me, and sometimes she doesn't. But yeah, I just stop and make sure that she's known that she's loved, and I'm here for her when she needs.
And when you have these moments of contact, these days you're not even bringing up, hey, let's get you out of this? You just leave that out now because it's a bit hopeless?
Most of the time. Sometimes it gets a little emotional, and I'll say to her, you're loved, and can we help you? Is there anything we can do? But a lot of the times if I talk about any of those things, she shuts down, and she wants away from me. So I just offer her the daily amenities that I'm fortunate to have. Food, clothing, love. Just offer her that.
So Angie, is that unusual? Here you've got someone whose beloved family member really needs help, but there's no way to make it stick.
Well, and to expand on that, we've got lots of gaps in services. The service providers are trying to do everything that they can with the crisis that we have. The journey home, looking for more housing, but it's a systematic country change that has to be taking place. We have let this problem go on too long, and now we have a very large epidemic, and there won't be an easy fix. We need better detox, we need more treatment facilities, And yes, not everybody's going to come into treatment, but you have to ask yourself, who wants to ruin their whole lives, live homeless, not know where you're going to be eating or sleeping the next day, and being assaulted on the street every day? Nobody wants to exist. But after years of that, mental health sets in, you do become hopeless, you have no self-esteem, no self-worth. Why would you want to recover
Right.
at this point?
One of the things I picked up on in our conversation ahead of this was that even if you get someone into rehab, or detox, I should say, it's like 5 days.
5 days is the only medical detox.
And then it's back out the door.
And unfortunately, there are no services to allow people to get supportive housing or transitional housing, or allow them to fill out the paperwork. So yes, if you are living in a shelter, you will be then going back to the shelter.
A shelter that's full of drugs.
A shelter that's full of drugs, and you aren't going to be able to stay clean, because now you have to deal with post-traumatic stress, mental health. You still have no place to live.
And during that detox, you probably were being given alternate drugs.
Most,
Right.
more than likely, yes.
So you're not super clean in 5 days.
You can't be mentally fit to man the minefields on your own at that time, no.
So the vast majority would just cycle back in, and
And what a waste of money. If we took that wasted detox money, if we take the wasted hospital and RCMP money, turn that money where people aren't able to succeed. We know that, it's proven that they can't succeed this way. If we took that money and gave them the things to succeed with detox, transitional housing, support of counselors, everything immediately, it probably takes about a year to recover. And I can
Right.
personally say that from experience.
And there's likely permanent damage from this lifestyle, mental health issues that probably are never going to fully go away.
They can go away with the right treatment, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of support.
But Catherine, when you have a moment with your sister, is the sister that you knew before, it's been what, 7 years or so that she's been on this path?
About that, yeah.
Is that same person that you knew before all this still there?
She is, but it has to take somebody that knows her very well to see it. It's like staring down a very dark tunnel and there's a light, and she's there. It's just so far down there.
She's angry, and there's just a lot of things in the way.
Well, the hopelessness, what she's been exposed to, what she's put herself through, what she's experienced, all of those things are being masked by the drugs right now. So like Angie was saying with the detox, she needs a lot of help to learn to cope and live with what's been happening to her the last 7 years. And I just wanted to touch too about the detox. Like the detox, even if I found her one day and offered help and she accepted, you don't just bring her to a detox center. How many detox beds are there?
Not very
It's a wait-
many,
it's a
and
wait
there's a waiting
list.
period. So that's another problem as well, just not enough services to help our population that does need
Right.
help.
So we're in an election cycle right now where everybody's talking about this issue in general. So I'm glad you've helped us personalize it a little bit. As you look at this whole thing being discussed, does it sound like people are saying the right things? Are we moving in the right direction with this Journey Home Task Force findings? Does it sound like the right things are starting to happen to you?
I think the good thing that has came with the elections is that it's front and center. Homelessness, and people are talking about it. The community has had enough. They want some answers. So I do think that with the programs being put in place, there will be more coming, regardless of which way the election goes. I think the community is very aware, and fortunately through all the news outlets and people giving us a voice, that it will get better, I think.
Yeah. We've seen plans not unlike this in the past that get talked about, but it needs to get funded. It needs to get legs. So
Well, and it is being funded. There is some housing coming down the tube. I think the BC government is stepping up to the plate as well. And again, you can't expect our city just in this last 1 or 2 years to fix this problem that's been going on for years. Hope Outreach has been here for 10 years. The problem is the same as I've seen it 10 years ago. And finally, I think something is getting done in these last 2 years.
it does seem like the problem's intensified
It has.
Even
It
more
has.
lately. But yeah, it goes back decades.
It goes
And then-
back decades.
And it's there's been some waves, and right now it seems pretty intense. And
It's
people
on a
are
momentum, I believe,
Yeah.
and things will change, but we need to give it some time or come up with some radical solutions.
right. One other thing I wanted to bring up, another sort of barrier to someone at least being treated decently in her circumstances, like your sister, is that she had this infected foot, and you were trying to get it dealt with, and you went to a walk-in clinic. What happened?
Because we didn't have her physical ID, she's homeless. She has nothing at all. They wouldn't let her see a doctor. The receptionist refused, and I said, well, I know her birth date. I have her care card. I've actually brought her to this clinic.
So you
years
had
prior.
her number,
Yeah, yeah.
that you could read out the number,
She was in the system. She's been at that exact same clinic a few years prior.
and they said no. So what was really going on there? She was just
Well, I
weeded out
think-
because she wasn't.
I think because of how she looked, that she was not welcome to see the doctor. Maybe there was an assumption that we were there to try and get a prescription or whatever the case was. But we were told no, to go to emergency, go to KGH.
So your sister's sunk so low on the sort of totem pole that even a doctor doesn't want to necessarily even see her.
It wasn't the doctor, it was the
The
receptionist.
receptionist.
Yeah. So it was she felt embarrassed, right? Even though she didn't talk about it when we left. But I had to hobble her out, back into the car and try and find somewhere else that I could take her because they wouldn't accept it without a physical card.
There's another low point.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Angie?
Well, there is, and I think it's a lot of ignorance why people judge. They don't have any experience. I didn't either. I came from a middle-class family. I would see drunks and alcoholics on the street and say,
You know,
a lot of people think.
Well, we
but-
haven't mentioned in this interview, but maybe we should now that you went through this. You were in that life,
I was.
and you came out of it. So you are proof that that can happen.
It can happen, yeah. So again, I had a normal life, just like Catherine's sister. Took a bad turn, and some other things escalated, and ended up in that hopeless position. And then you don't care. You've been judged so many times. You feel the guilt and shame. You have no self-worth. You really don't want to recover, right? I was blessed to be able to come in recovery, but the only thing that allowed me to recover was I had medical detox, I had transitional housing, I had paperwork filled out for treatment, I had second stage housing. It took me a whole year to recover, even though I have 2 degrees in university before I got addicted.
Right. So, Catherine, you wanted to promote an event that you've got coming up. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I really wanted to help Angie and Hope Okanagan because I'm so thankful to have somebody out there in the evenings to keep a good watch over my sister. I think it's an amazing program. And I wanted to get out and volunteer and give some time. So I'm doing a coat drive because a lot of these ladies need warm clothing. So this weekend on Saturday, I'll be out front of Kelowna Now. And from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., any item of warm clothing that you bring me, I'll enter your name into a draw to win some matinee tickets to Corteo on Sunday. So I'm trying to collect as much as I can. So if you can go through your closets and grab everything you can, then I would be happy to donate
Socks,
it.
coats, mitts, right?
Yeah.
Anything that we can hand out to keep the ladies warm.
All right. Well, thanks very much. Are you feeling good about this? Anything else you wanted to say before we wrap it up, Catherine?
No, I think we've got it all covered. I would just say the people that you're seeing out there, yes, it's a hard thing to accept, and the local business owners are suffering and they're frustrated, but they are people. They are people that are suffering, and anybody that I've talked to has, kind of changed their opinion once I tell them a little bit and I show them a photo of my sister. Years before addiction took over her life, and they seem a little bit more empathetic. So I just ask that everybody stops and tries to personalize judgment when they're looking at some of these people that are stuck on the streets.
Just remember that they're real people who have a
Loving
life,
family behind them,
yeah.
or it's a tough thing to go through.
Yeah. Thanks for helping us with that. And
Thank
thanks
you.
for coming in, Angie.
Thanks.
And thank you for watching Kelowna Now.